The FBI raid at Mar-a-Lago is going to do one thing, and that's going to show how dumb some people really are. Let's get it. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We have had a crazy week, and it all started this Monday when the FBI raided the home of former President Donald Trump in Florida at Mar-a-Lago. This is what we know. On Monday morning, federal agents from the FBI and the DOJ secured the Mar-a-Lago compound. Then they went in search of classified documents. Apparently, what we now know is that in the spring of this year, the National Archives sent a request to the former president asking for him to return some documents. Some things were sent, some things weren't sent. The National Archives followed up with a subpoena. In June of this year, federal agents went down to Mar-a-Lago. They met with the former president and his staff. Some documents were shown, some documents were turned over. In total, 15 boxes were removed from the compound. Apparently, according to DOJ sources, an informant let them know that there were even more documents still hidden, and that's why they requested a search warrant from a federal judge, and they went in and secured the compound for 9 hours, went in and removed some documents. In between Monday and Thursday, when the Attorney General Merrick Garland spoke, we saw a huge backlash from conservatives, folks saying that this is a continuation of draconian tactics by the left in order to try to subdue, subvert, demoralize the current frontrunner for the GOP nomination and a former president. On Thursday, Attorney General Merrick Garland spoke, backing up the DOJ and FBI, saying that their work was constitutional, it was legal, they checked all the right boxes, they were being professional, they were being nonpartisan, and that he would be willing to unseal the search warrant to let all the public know, essentially trying to call former President Donald Trump's bluff. We've also heard between Monday and Thursday outcries from current sitting members of Congress. We heard from Senator Marco Rubio. Check this out.
That is to try to politically harm and intimidate their political opponents. That's what this is all about.
We've also heard from conservatives actively on the campaign trail down in Florida. Listen here to State Representative Anthony Sabatini.
What they're doing is unlawful. It's time to actually start protecting the rights of Floridians under the 10th Amendment and push back against a lawless federal government.
Right now, today, in Florida, FBI agents are chasing down bank robbers, organized criminals, attacking cyber crime in this state, helping local law enforcement. You don't think there's any value in that?
It's an illogical argument. The FBI at this point is totally useless. We need to defund it and let red states.
You have no idea what the value of the FBI is.
Yes, I do.
Is a former president just above the law no matter what?
The FBI is not above the law.
If I'm saying they followed the law, which they did, to enter into that home, should that just not be allowed? The president, the former president, is above the law.
He's a political target. He's being harassed by a lawless rogue agency.
It's not a lawless agency.
They spied on him. They have no respect for him.
Have no idea.
They hate the conservatives. They hate the Republicans.
Wouldn't it be prudent to wait and see what the facts are before
we
have such a draconian statement?
We have enough facts.
Apparently, the DOJ is also investing the current former president for potentially selling nuclear secrets. What we're hearing in social media is that what they went in to extract, the classified documents, were pertaining to nuclear capabilities. Not quite sure, but all we're hearing is that there's maybe potential that the former president was trying to sell these. I don't know who he would be selling them to, but there's also been questions about Jared Kushner and money that was invested into his fund from Saudi Arabia. It's all quite confusing. It's all very nonsensical, but this is what does make sense to me. It's that former presidents, all the former presidents, continue to have Secret Service protection. Why? Because they still get the daily briefing from the president, and they have access to sensitive and compartmented information on a regular basis. That's why the Secret Service continues to protect them. Another thing that doesn't make sense to me is that the GSA boxed up all these documents. This isn't something like President Trump took out of a safe, put in a briefcase, and carried it on his arm onto Air Force One as he left office, and he's been hiding these things somewhere. Like former presidents have access to this type of stuff. Former presidents should have access to this type of stuff and information, and they should be protected. That's why we go through the extent of paying tax dollars to make sure that they're protected once they leave office. So why the DOJ would ask for a search warrant, number one, of a former president's house is totally unprecedented. Apparently, the current president wasn't even briefed on this, which shows another big problem and a big loophole. And why they would go down there seeking information that they already know that the guy has, spend 9 hours in his house searching through the former first lady's wardrobe. If you have an informant who says that there's documents there, they know where they're at and they're hidden, then it should have taken them no longer than 30 minutes to go exactly to where this informant said that they were, get in, get it, and leave. There's no reason to go through, the private residence, this personal space of a former president to look for things that you say that you already know are there, that have been informed that are there. You're just fishing. So this, I think, is going to be a very big wake-up call to the United States public, showing them how far the government is willing to go to try and get what they want. It doesn't matter that they did all the right things and checked all the boxes. This is totally out. What they did was totally outside of the scope of that. And I think an incredibly important thing that conservatives need to remember in this time is how we're speaking, how we are refuting this, how we're explaining how bad this is going to be incredibly important, because these liberals think and hear things in a totally different direction. And they have full faith and trust and confidence in the fidelity of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and of the Department of Justice. But I think overarchingly, the real big question here that needs to be spoken out about and against is that the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, personally approved going after this search warrant and getting it and securing it and doing this raid. Merrick Garland is also the guy that President Obama nominated for the Supreme Court. He didn't even get a hearing because it was the last year of the Obama presidency. And he did not become a Supreme Court justice because Donald Trump, the man who he approved the search warrant for, became president. Merrick Garland should have recused himself from this whole situation, from anything involving the former president, because there is a serious conflict of interest there. There's no way he can remove himself rationally from this without having any personal input gain, going back to any harm that was done to him from becoming a Supreme Court justice. So this is going to show, I think, in my opinion, one, how dumb a lot of people are in the DOJ, in the federal government, on the left, quite frankly, that they think they can just go in and do these types of things to not only just average everyday Americans, but to a former president of the United States. Have they gone into Barack Obama's house, President George Bush's house, or Bill Clinton's house, or Jimmy Carter's house and cracked open any safes? Do they have any information that's sensitive and compartmented? Has anyone thought about that? Why is it only this guy keeps getting looked at? We need to have a serious conversation in this country about law enforcement. The left and these progressives have continuously been advocating for defunding the police. Well, let's start at the top. Let's start scrubbing the DOJ and the FBI. For more news like this, please stay tuned and locked in to brightnews.com, and you can follow us all across social media platforms at Bright News Media. We'll see you guys next week.